Welcome to this session. I have come a little further and I have results that I would like to discuss with you. For those of you who are not too familiar with me, I'm a pretty healthy guy, 72 years old, out on the tennis court pretty frequently. I started in '06, so that's 7 years ago. And during that time, I've developed some pretty good, solid tennis skills. I'm definitely moving up, enjoying it a lot. For those of you who have not seen any of my other YouTubes, I need to tell you that I have had some health issues. Let me describe a few of them. In January of 2010, my kidneys totally failed. I went into dialysis. It was obvious that my life was threatened, and I received excellent medical help. As time went on, my condition improved, and in February of this year, 2013, I decided that the dialysis was finished as far as I was concerned. I told the doctor that I was not coming back, and in fact she just started to schedule a lot of lab tests, and I keep getting healthier. I'll be going in for another lab test tomorrow morning, in fact. I'm very grateful to her and the nurses, the other medical people who've helped me so much. Please understand that my talking of cure in this case did not directly involve either the advice or discussions with or the permission of the medical personnel. I told them that I had my own methods. They didn't go beyond that, and that's fine with me. And I developed them myself. A few years before that, I became senile and cured it completely, obviously. I mean, there may be problems with my memory, but I certainly am able to talk. I've had heart problems. Don't have them now. At age 8, I became severely diabetic. Cured that. There have been a number of these things. I'm not going to go into more detail. I've discovered that when I start talking about them, people recoil in horror. What a horrible life you've had. It doesn't feel horrible to me. It is a strange situation in which I have only been able to cure myself of these disabilities, diseases, call them what you will, if I got so terribly sick from them that they threatened my life. And then I found a way to cure them, and after that I was much better off. I mean, the kind of tennis I'm playing now would have been totally impossible for the person, even 5 years ago. I couldn't have possibly moved this fast. I couldn't have seen things as well. So, was this a horrible life, or was this a rather strange way of curing myself? Now, I did come up with methods, creative methods of doing so. I've used frequencies, and I've been intuitive, and I've asked my body what numbers to use. I have symbols, previous YouTubes discuss those. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, partly because I'm not convinced that my methods are the only ones that work. Maybe it will turn out they are, but honestly I doubt it. I think humans are much more complex than that. What I would like to focus on is the surprising insight that I realized when I started asking questions about the diseases or parasites that caused these terrifying events. When I asked, I was told that none of them were new. That was a shock. The minimum age that any of them has been in my body is about 25 years. But some go much further back than that. I became diabetic at age 8. Folks, I'm 72. 8 from 72 is what, 64? That's how long that stuff was in my body. So, if we ask, why is it that doctors have such terrible difficulty curing the chronic problems of the elderly, like me? Perhaps an insight comes from the statement that very likely these diseases have been in these bodies for so many years, and they have successfully prevented us from looking at them, reacting creatively, coming up with interesting experiments that might actually help us, and above all, doing everything possible to distract us totally whenever the question came of doing something about these long-term ailments. Were they visible? Of course they were visible. Everybody knew I had a sugar problem when I was 10 years old. I'm 72 now. Did I have a problem? When the kidneys started failing, I was the walking dead. Yes, I knew I had a problem. Could I talk about it? I couldn't. I had to reach a stage at which basically it totally threatened my life. And then, when I went to a doctor about one of these situations and said, look, what I want is cure. And I found myself with a very honest professional who didn't have any idea what to do, and said so. He could help me a little bit about from what he knew from his medical school. But in terms of cure, nothing came up. All he had was a drug, a way to cope with the disability. There's nothing on cure. It shouldn't be much of a surprise to you then that I had problems with this. For one thing, I was very angry at the medical profession. Why weren't they helping me? And of course the answer was nobody ever told them how. In fact, it took my having the total kidney failure and being absolutely, completely dependent on medical help. I'm very grateful for it. But I realized how much they do mean to me. How do I handle this? I do the work on my own, and I appreciate their help, and I am honest with them. So the net result leads me with a feeling that perhaps might help us better understand why Western medicine is unable to cope with the chronic ailments of the elderly. Suppose these parasites, diseases, whatever you want to call them, have been in these bodies for 40, 50, 60 years. That's a long time. They probably are very well integrated into the body. I doubt very much that the standard methods that see them as a bacteria or a virus are going to be true anymore. These are communities. They probably mix up the body, and I doubt that they fit the textbooks anymore. At the same time, it also suggests that since the body has had so long to learn what these things are like, if we ask it questions, perhaps using intuition or whatever method you want to use, perhaps in this case the body actually can provide a lot of help in eliminating them. And finally, I assume I am no different from anyone else. It is extremely difficult, unless they are very threatening or you are very experienced, as now I am, to actually force the issue and get to the point of looking at them directly and saying, this is what I'm going to do. But that is what I recommend. It's worked for me. It's worked for my wife. Good to talk to you. We'll talk again.